I wrote an entire 55,300 page book in 3 months. Let me tell you how I do it. I'm Daryl Williams Jr. and I am the author of 99% Human, 1% Amazing. And my goal is to help teachers be the teacher that they've always wanted to be, right? To find clarity in their purpose and find efficacy in their practice. So I wrote this book because it's the book that I needed when I was a struggling teacher. And these are all the things that I've learned in my journey from terrible teacher to 2-time teacher of the year to help somebody be able to see success sooner. I want to talk about how I was able to create this book, literally able to create the book from scratch out of nothing to a published book that you can actually purchase. The link is in the description below to reserve your copy. Drops on November the 28th. So obviously at first I started with an idea. And the reason why the idea came about is because I honestly, truly just want to help as many people as possible find clarity in their purpose and efficacy in their practice and use their uniqueness to drive educational transformation. That's truly just what I want to see happen in classrooms, because I remember what it was like to be that struggling teacher that felt as if I was inadequate, felt as if I couldn't make a difference. And I hate for other people to feel that way. So let me help you give tools, tips, strategies, and empowerment so that those teachers can go forth and make the difference that I know that they were called to make. But obviously, I'm just one person. So yes, I travel and I speak and I do professional development and I do all these things, but I'm just one person. There's no way that I can do all of those things and reach everybody, especially with the fact that I honestly love being a part of a school community. So I love being in my school and I love my students. I love my staff. I love showing up consistently to a regular place where I feel like I'm a part of the school community. People know my name. I'm able to watch students grow. Like, I love being a part of the school community. So it's not really easy for me to go out and travel and speak and do all of those things. So I had to come up with a way that I can spread the message without having to show up in person to do a keynote or a presentation or professional development. So the way that I was going about doing it was through videos. I'd make videos on YouTube, on TikTok, on all these different social media platforms, figuring if I can give teachers tools, tips, and strategies, we can spread as far as possible. Then my mentor told me, it's great that you have videos, and did you know that you also had a book? I was confused. I was like, I don't have a book. What do you mean? He said, obviously, text. If you're able to communicate via text, that's another way to reach people, and you already have a book. It's just not bounded in pages. I was like, what do you mean? Tell me more. He said, you created an arsenal over the last couple of years of information, just so much information. I have 200 videos on YouTube right now. He said, you have so much information out there. It's just not transcribed into a book, but AI can help you do that. So let me talk to you about my process, right? I went through all of the YouTube videos that I've created and the YouTube videos, the webinars I've done, different conferences I was a part of that was recorded virtually. And I went through them and broke them up into categories and started categorizing them based off of the things that they were talking about. So when I was talking about identifying your dream, I put all those videos in one section. When I was talking about how to illuminate your differences, I put all those videos in one section. When I was talking about how to ignore your doubters, I put those videos in one section. And then when I was talking about improving your data, I put those videos in one section. So I put them all into 4 different categories. And then I was able to come away with 26 different videos that was aligned and, if put in the correct order, could essentially tell a story. So out of the 200 videos that I already have, I was able to take 26 of them and put them together to kind of tell a story. Those 26 videos, I then was able to go and use an AI software. And honestly, I forget the name of it. So let me go ahead and try to link that in the description. But using AI software that took the videos and transcribed my words into text, and it came out with 70,000 words. And I was like, this is incredible. Like, this is amazing. This is crazy. So obviously 70,000 words, that's about 350 pages worth of text, right, in the book. So I looked at that and said, this can be a book. The only thing is, it directly transcribed it from how I'm speaking into text, which is not exactly the best way to read things. So for example, in one section, I'm going to read it directly as it was. I spoke this in the video and it got transcribed into text. And I was thinking I can just go ahead and put this in a book. But here's what it sounded like. Watch this. And I quote, so today we're going to talk about how we can understand that you are enough. You are enough. There are three things that need to happen. Three things that need to take place in order to know that you are enough. You are grounded, you are committed, you need to know that you are enough. If you can be grounded and committed, we'll talk about what that looks like in a second. If you can be both grounded and committed, then in fact, you are definitely enough. That, like, no one wants to read that. You know what I'm saying? So when I was speaking it live in that webinar, it flowed. It made sense. If you were listening to it live, it was okay. Just now it sounded a little bit choppy because I don't remember how I said it in the moment. But obviously reading that on the text doesn't make sense. It doesn't lend itself to be easily readable. So from there, I took the 70,000 words and I hired an editor. The editor's job was to go through and to go all through 70,000 words and take it from my spoken voice and translate it into more of a reading voice, if that makes sense. Obviously what we just read, that wouldn't, that wouldn't be in a book that way. But the editor went through and tweaked it to make it make sense, right? As you would read it. When the editor sent it back to me, that process took about six or 8 weeks. When the editor sent it back to me, then I combed through word by word, page by page. She sent back 55,000 words, word by word, page by page. I went through it and read through it, not only for accuracy, but also for the authentic version of me, how I wanted to show up in text and how make sure that things were said the way I wanted to say it. Because if you know me, you know that I love my phrases, right? Even like on my shirt, it says goals times game plan plus grit equals growth. I love alliteration. I love, wordplay and things like that. You have to use it. 99% of human, 1% amazing. Like I have to say it just like that. Your differences are not your deficiencies. I say things like that all the time. So as I was going through it, there were some things that didn't sound like me. And there were also some things that were maybe grammatically correct, but I just wanted to add a little spice, a little flavor. I wanted to make it sound like me, so I had to make adjustments. And then definitely going back and adding stories and adding little anecdotes and adding little analogies and putting little jokes here and there to make it sound like me. So this actually took a really long time. And I'm actually still in this phase, to be honest, right now. It's the beginning of this September right now as I'm recording this video, but I'm still not finished. I'm on chapter 18 out of 26. More about that in a second. It was a crazy story. Let me tell you about that in a second. But I'm going through page by page, word for word, trying to make sure that it is what I wanted to say. So in doing that, for that same section, here's what it sounds like. Oh, I just scrolled past it. Here's what it sounds like. For that same exact section that I was talking about earlier, that section now transcribed into my voice and to be readable sounds like this. There are two things that need to happen for you to know. Sorry, I'm gonna start over. There are two things that need to happen for you to know and believe that you are enough and finally recognize your superpower, your style, your methods, and your personality, being grounded and committed. This is the golden combination for ultimate success. You will feel effective and feed your mind, spirit, and soul. You will know that you are enough. That sounds a whole lot different. You know what I'm saying? That sounds a whole lot different than what I was saying earlier, but it has the same sentiment and it's more readable. So those are the types of things I was going through. I went through and made sure it made sense, not just exactly what the AI took from the video transcription and put into a book. So for those of us, just let me go on a little soapbox here. For those of us that are thinking AI is taking over the world, they're going to take our jobs. In my experience, there always has to be that human element still. So I couldn't just take my 26 videos and put it in AI and then put a cover on it and call it a book. I still had to go through every single word and make it make sense. Did it accelerate the process? Absolutely, a whole lot. The AI did that thing in a couple of hours, whereas it would have taken me a long time to type 70,000 words for myself. You understand? But I still need that human element to go in and make sure that it was me, it was authentically me, and that it was what, based off of my experience, what was going to be helpful for somebody to be able to read and to apply. So that is, that's the process. So in these last couple of phases, what's going to happen now, I should wrap up this book in the next couple of days, honestly. Then it goes off to the final editor. The final editor is going to go through again for grammatical correctness and punctuation and accuracy, spelling errors, things like that. I don't even know if I showed you guys like this going through the book. There's no numbers on the pages. You know what I'm saying? So going back and catching some of those errors I made, I was just having a good old time. I didn't realize I had to put numbers on the pages. It's my first book, y'all. It's my first book. Don't worry. So they're going to go through and make sure that everything is sound, so it's ready for publication. November 28th, I promise everything is going to be, well, I'm going to try my best to make sure everything is how it is going to be. If not, I'll make some adjustments. But as of right now, we are definitely on track for a November 28th launch. But I told you I was going to tell you something crazy, right? So a couple of weeks ago, I was on an airplane to San Diego. We're talking about highs and lows in this writing process. I was on an airplane to San Diego from where I live. That's about a 6-hour flight, and 5.5, 6-hour flight. And I knew that was going to be a lot of time that I had to be able to work on the book. So I got on the airplane and I sat down. I was locked in, y'all. I edited from chapter 17 to chapter 23. Went through every word, added different stories, and the same thing I was describing earlier. 6 straight hours, no Wi-Fi, just had on music, listening to Carrie Job, just mellow, just boom. I knew I didn't have Wi-Fi, so I said, let me go ahead and save it. So I clicked save, shut down the computer, got off the plane once we landed. Listen, when I got back to Charlotte, I opened my computer so that I can edit it, and it said I had not made any edits within the last 2 weeks. I was like, what? I went through it. Everything that I wrote on the plane, y'all, everything I wrote on the plane was gone. I was not as upset as you think I would be. And I think that that is a huge testament, honestly, to my personal growth and development over the last couple of years. And it's evident with this whole process of writing the book, because I think a couple of years ago, I'd have been mad. I would have been blaming myself. I would have told myself, how could you make this mistake? You're dumb. Like, I knew you weren't good enough. Who told you can be an author? Like, these self-limiting beliefs would start to sink in. Imposter syndrome would start to get me down. But just as I've grown and matured over these last couple of years, I saw it. I was upset. And I just said, here's the option that I have. Either I can be mad about it, shut down and wallow in pity, or I can recognize it's gone. It's not coming back. I'm going to maximize the time that I have, sit down and get back to work. Like, I know that the message that I have needs to go out into the world. Somebody else needs to see it. Somebody else needs to receive it. I'm not just going to sit here and wallow in pity. No, I'm going to go back to the grind and keep it pushing. So I took a second, took a deep breath, and I started typing away at chapter 17 again. And again, I wouldn't have done that a couple of years ago. Was I upset? A little bit. Did I get over it? Yeah. And I wasn't down on myself. And I just believed that if what was typed while I was on the plane is what God wanted to be in that book, it would have stayed. But for some reason, he wanted me to reset. And now I know that whatever I'm about to type now is greater than whatever was going to be before. And that's just the mindset that I'm moving into this thing with. And so it has not been a journey that is stress-free, right? By any means. It hasn't been perfect. There's probably going to be some more hiccups between now and the time that it actually launches. But I just want to let you know that I am committed to this. The more I read it, the more excited I get about the prospect of somebody else reading it and somebody else being able to become a better educator, a better teacher because of it. And I'm just super excited. I promise you guys, I sometimes I type with a smile on my face because I'm like, I know somebody's going to get this, and I know somebody's going to be grateful for it. And I know that lives are going to be changed as educators, but then lives are going to be changed for students because somebody saw the practices that are in this book, took the tools, tips, and strategies, now feels empowered to go ahead and make the difference on the world that only they can. So make sure that you get your copy. It's dropping November 28th. You can reserve the ebook in the description below. If the ebook is not your thing and you want to wait for the paperback version, once this actually finally becomes available, still use the description below because it'll add you to the mailing list where it'll give you information about when it actually drops or when you can actually get the paperback version. So in the next video, I'm going to be talking about how we came up with this cover design, this spine design, this back design. I'm going to talk about how we came up with it, show you the different iterations that we've gone through and why this cover means so much to me. And can you see it in the glare? Why this cover means so much to me and what it means. And so stay tuned so that you don't miss out. Subscribe so that you don't miss that. In the meantime, check out this entire playlist that's going through all the different phases of me writing this book and what you can expect from the book, as well as follow my beard growth journey, right? Because I shaved my beard before I started this series. So hopefully by the time the book comes out, my beard will be nice and full. So Follow along. I appreciate you watching this long. And then again, in order to get the book, use the description below. I'll see you next time.